What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is currently Friday, April 18th, which means one thing: we are one day away from the Stanley Cup playoffs. If you're new to the channel and you don't know who I am, as you can see, I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan and we are not in the playoffs this year, so there shouldn't be too many biases that go on here when it comes to my predictions. Today I will be doing a full prediction, so whoever I choose in the first round will then match up with somebody else in the second round, and then we'll go on all the way to the Stanley Cup final and give you guys who I think is going to win the Stanley Cup in 2025. Before we begin, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for some more hockey or just sports content in general. So we're first going to be going through the Western Conference. We have the Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues. And this matchup is very interesting because of the goaltenders involved. You have Connor Hellebuck, who played for Team USA, and Jordan Binnington, who played for Team Canada. And obviously, in a winner-take-all situation, Jordan Binnington actually outplayed Connor Hellebuck. But this is the playoffs. There's potentially 7 games, and so that changes things quite a bit. And also, you're not playing for your nation, right? So Winnipeg winning the President's Trophy, the best team in the regular season, going up against St. Louis, the hottest team in the NHL, going on a crazy hot streak to make the playoffs. So for me, when you look at these two teams, I think Winnipeg has the more high-end talent, but they have a lot of depth as well. Whereas St. Louis really is a score-by-committee kind of team. Now, Winnipeg historically in the playoffs have not done well. Connor Hellebuck historically in the playoffs has not been like that Vezina #1 goaltender in the world that we expect of him. He's actually had like an 880 save percentage in his last 3 playoff rounds. I think St. Louis is going to make this really tough on the Winnipeg Jets. I think they're just going to be really physical, but we have to note that Dylan Holloway, one of St. Louis's best players this season, is unavailable. Now, for the Winnipeg Jets, Nikolai Ehlers is also unavailable, so you could say those two cancel each other out, but I'd say Dylan Holloway is more important to the St. Louis Blues than Nikolai Ehlers is for the Winnipeg Jets. And so with that being said, I am going to be choosing the Winnipeg Jets to move on to the second round, defeating the St. Louis Blues in a competitive 6-game series. Also, I'm using the NHL's official bracket challenge here to do my selections. Next up, we have the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche, the battle of Mikko Rantanen coming back to haunt the Colorado Avalanche. This series is going to be a ton of fun to watch. There's going to be so many goals. There's so many storylines as well. And if you look at the two teams here, I mean, Dallas is absolutely loaded offensively. And Colorado, I mean, they're former Cup champions. They still have a lot of the core that was there. And potentially, Gabriel Landeskog, their captain, might be ready for round 1. For me, this series is the hardest to predict out of any series in the first round because I could see it going so many ways. I think Dallas could beat Colorado in 7 or in 6. I think Colorado could beat Dallas in 6 or 7. It's just absolutely impossible to predict this series. But I will say Dallas, as of late, their penalty kill has not been great. Their defensive core has also not been great. Miro Heiskanen is going to be out for game 1 at least. And if he does return, how healthy is he going to be? Jason Robertson is out for a week or 2 apparently. So you're losing a lot. I think offensively they can cover for Jason Robertson, which is crazy to say. I think they can cover for that. But Miro Heiskanen being out for 1 game could be the game that decides the series. And so with that being said, I am going to go with the Colorado Avalanche to win this in 7 because of the Stanley Cup pedigree that they already have. The amount of trades they made at the deadline, they added Nelson and Coyle. They brought Eric Johnson back. And then Landeskog coming back as well. And then Marty Necas and Nathan MacKinnon have pretty much replaced McKinnon and Rantanen's partnership, that Batman and Robin partnership. And so, yeah, I think Colorado is going to edge this out in 7, but don't be surprised if Dallas wins this series. Moving on, we have the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota fans, if this was your team that started the season, I could very much imagine an upset happening here. Unfortunately, you guys have been injured for so long now, only finally starting to get healthy now, but I think it's just a little too late. I think this year you guys are going to have a competitive first round against the Vegas Golden Knights. However, I think next year is the year of the Minnesota Wild. Because of the amount of cap space the Wild are going to have next season and moving forward, and the fact that Brock Besser, who's from Minnesota, is probably going to be available on July 1st, you guys are going to offer him a contract, I'm sure of it, to add to this core already, and you guys are going to be dangerous moving forward. I just don't think that this year is your year, and the Vegas Golden Knights, this is what they do. They just make it to the playoffs. I mean, they did finish first in the Pacific, which is a lot better than I thought they would be, but they make it to the playoffs. They rest their guys. They're going to get all their guys back, and they're going to go on a deep run. So I think the Vegas Golden Knights takes out the Minnesota Wild in 6 games. Next up, we have the LA Kings versus the Edmonton Oilers. Oh man, okay, Oilers fans are probably going to come for my neck, but you guys have been too injured and I just don't believe in your defense and goaltending. I'm going to say that till the day I die or until they make some sort of change that really convinces me that, oh crap, they have a really good defense core, or wow, their goaltending is going to steal them a series. I did it during the mid-season power rankings. I said, hey, the Oilers defense core, I just don't believe in. And their goaltending as well, I don't believe in. And then everybody in the comments is like, oh, this guy thinks it's 2020 still or 2021, whatever the case may be. But you look at this team and they're just not healthy right now. The D-core, I mean, Mattias Ekholm is out, I believe, for the first round, or is he out for the season? Like, I'm not quite sure, but Mattias Ekholm's going to be out. Your best defensive defenseman is not available on a defense core that can't defend. That's bad news. And goaltending, it's too inconsistent. Like either you get really good goaltending from one of your guys or you get really bad goaltending from one of your guys. So I don't really believe that the Edmonton Oilers are going to do it this year. And if you look at the LA Kings, I think they're just such a complete team when it comes to offense, defense, goaltending, special teams, and they have home ice, which they've been probably the best team on home ice this season. I will never count out the fact that McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman can probably win you a series on their own. So I am still going to choose the LA Kings, but it is going to be in 7 games. So moving on to the East, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs going up against the Ottawa Senators in the Battle of Ontario. I think my prediction is going to surprise a lot of people, but let's just talk about the series itself. This is the first Battle of Ontario in 20 years. This is absolutely unreal that we're finally getting this in this format. It's just that Toronto has been bad, then Ottawa was good, then Ottawa has been bad, and now Toronto's good. But now we finally got them in the playoffs together and they're going up against each other in the first round, which is going to be so sick to watch. The one thing I've always criticized Toronto for is the fact that they don't have a lineup down. Yes, you can interchange your lines a little bit, but that first line, you have Matthews, sometimes it's Nylander, sometimes it's Marner. You've had Nyes up there. Sometimes there was Bobby McMahon up there. Max Domi has been up there. It's been too inconsistent. I think they figured out their top 6. You have Nyes, Matthews, Marner. You have Tavares, Nylander, and I think they're going to go with Domi. I think it makes the most sense to play Domi on the wing. And then the third line and the fourth line have been pretty interchangeable in terms of their roles. But in terms of who's on it, it's pretty consistent now that it's going to be Yarncroke, Lawton, Lorentz, McMahon, Robertson, and Holmberg. So I think the Leafs are going to get it done, and I think they're going to get it done in 5 games. Now, before Sens fans come at my neck, I just want to explain why. I mean, Brady Tkachuk is not at 100%. I think the Senators are going to be very physical in this series, but I think it's going to be to their detriment. I think they're going to take way too many penalties. I think Toronto's power play is going to be very effective in this first round. And yes, I know Linus Ullmark, if he is playing really good, he can win you a couple games, maybe even a series, but I just don't know how likely that is, considering the defense core in front of him. I'm not convinced with Artem Zub and some of these guys. So I think that Ottawa, this is a great first taste of playoffs with this group of players. I think it's going to be a competitive 5 games, though. I think it's going to be 1-goal games, overtimes. I think it's going to be very close between these two teams, but ultimately, I think the Toronto Maple Leafs do get it done in 5 games. Next up, we got another battle here. We got a battle of Florida. We got Tampa versus the Panthers. This one, again, is pretty easy for me. I mean, the Tampa Bay Lightning do have Kucherov. They do have Hedman. They do have Vasilevsky. They still have their core group of guys. And I think it's like the Toronto-Ottawa series. I think it's going to be Florida in 5 games, but it's going to be a competitive 5 games. I think the Panthers are just too deep. I think they've added too much at the deadline. I think they're just such a great team, and especially their brand of hockey that they play, it's playoff hockey. Now, I know the Lightning also have their core group of guys who have won back-to-back Stanley Cups, but if you look at this iteration of the team, offensively, I think that Braden Point really needs to step up to help Nikita Kucherov, because I think defensively and goaltending-wise, they're going to be solid enough to give your team a chance to win, but when it comes to the offense and scoring, if Kucherov's out there by himself, he can't really do a whole lot, especially against a proven team in the Florida Panthers. If you hear some sort of buzzing sound while I'm talking, there is a guy power washing my roof right now, so apologies for that. But yeah, I'm choosing the Florida Panthers to defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games. Next up, we have the Washington Capitals going up against the Montreal Canadiens. I'm personally going to be watching this series a lot because I really like Montreal as a hockey city and as a team. They have so many young players and they have so many passionate fans, and when that building is going, They do not stop. But if you look across from them, you have the Washington Capitals, who have been on fire for a lot of the season. They did trail off a little bit because of the whole Ovi situation and getting to Gretzky's record. But now that that's over, I think they're going to be back to business. And I think the Washington Capitals defeat the Montreal Canadiens in 6 games. And for Montreal, I mean, you guys are so exciting. You're going to be back. This is finally your opportunity to overtake the likes of Boston. And even next year, I'm looking at Tampa. I think Montreal can get into that divisional spot. But I think the Washington Capitals are just too deep. I think their depth is going to play a huge part in this series. And defensively, with their goaltending, they're just going to be so hard to score against. And they're going to be scoring a bunch. So I think the Washington Capitals defeat the Montreal Canadiens in 6 games. Next up, we have the Carolina Hurricanes going up against the New Jersey Devils. Now, this series, I'm not going to be paying attention to it if I'm being totally honest. I don't really like any of these teams, like stylistically wise. I think New Jersey does have a little bit more offensive upside than the Carolina Hurricanes, but when it comes to playoff hockey and the fact that they don't have Jack Hughes, I think the Carolina Hurricanes defeat the New Jersey Devils in 6 games. Next up, I have the Winnipeg Jets going up against the Colorado Avalanche in round 2. This series is going to be another close one, but if you look at both of these teams, I mean, one has championship pedigree and one does not. This series for me is going to come down to goaltending. Will Connor Hellebuyck outduel the Colorado Avalanche's Mackenzie Blackwood? And will the defense for the Winnipeg Jets hold up against the defense of the Colorado Avalanche? Because I think offensively, these two teams are pretty equal. You probably do give the slight edge to the Avalanche because they have Nathan MacKinnon, but the Winnipeg Jets have Kyle Connor, and people need to give him respect as well. But ultimately, I am going to be going with the President's Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets to defeat the Colorado Avalanche in 7 games. Next up, we have the Vegas Golden Knights going up against the LA Kings. Now, Vegas fans, this is a matchup nightmare. The one team you don't want to go up against is the LA Kings. I think down the middle with Byfield, Kopitar, Danault, like this team for LA is so deep defensively as well. Like, I just think that the Vegas Golden Knights, although are very deep themselves, I just think that this is another series that can come down to goaltending because I think offensively, there's not going to be a lot of goals. And defensively, I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. So I think in the end, I am going to be choosing the LA Kings to defeat the Vegas Golden Knights in 7 games. Now, in the East, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs going up against the Florida Panthers. Leafs fans, I know I want to keep joining the bandwagon, keep pushing you guys forward, but unfortunately, with how the Atlantic Division is, you guys go up against the Florida Panthers, and I think this is the one team in the East that you guys just cannot defeat. I think against every other team in the East, you stack up well, you match up well, and I think honestly you defeat, but you're going up against the Florida Panthers in the second round here, so unfortunately, I have to choose the Florida Panthers. I just think that they have your guys' number, they're more physical, they can score, they got goaltending, they have it all. And you're going up against Brad Marchand, who's another demon in your guys' past. So I'm choosing the Florida Panthers to defeat the Toronto Maple Leafs in round 2 in 6 games. Next up, we have Washington and Carolina. This one's pretty simple for me. I think Washington actually wins this in a sweep. I think Washington defeats the Carolina Hurricanes 4 games to nothing. And we're going to get another legendary quote from Rob Brendamore saying, "Oh, we didn't actually get swept." No, you guys got swept. I think this Carolina regime is over, and when it comes to their coaching staff, when it comes to their front office, I think this Carolina Hurricanes team needs to change in some way, and I think it starts there. But unfortunately for the Hurricanes, the Capitals are just going to be too much for them, and they're going to win in a sweep. So in the Western Conference Finals, I have the Winnipeg Jets going against the LA Kings. Unfortunately, Kings fans, this is where the Cinderella story dies. I think the Winnipeg Jets just are too much for you guys offensively, and I think the Winnipeg Jets get it done probably in 5 games. Now heading over to the East, I have the Florida Panthers go up against the Washington Capitals. So far in the East, I don't believe I have a 7-game series. I think Toronto, Florida, I said in 6. This is the first one that goes 7. I have no idea who would win this series. Do I think that Ovi's Cinderella story with him passing Gretzky continues into the playoffs? Do I think the Panthers just go back to back? Like, it's too hard to predict. I think what's going to separate these two teams is the experience factor. Like, yes, I know the Capitals have John Carlson. I know that they have Ovi. But if you look at the Florida Panthers, they've done it so much more recently, and they have a lot of their core guys still there. Plus, they added Marchand. Plus, they added Seth Jones. You know what I mean? So I think that ultimately, I think that experience, that recent playoff success for the Florida Panthers is going to pay off here. And I think the Panthers defeat the Washington Capitals in 7 games. Next up for the Stanley Cup Finals, I have the Winnipeg Jets going up against the Florida Panthers. This series is going to be a very close one. It's going to be pretty similar to the Panthers Capital series that I just mentioned that would probably go 7 games, and I think this Stanley Cup final also goes 7 games. Now, some people are probably going to say I'm biased because I am Canadian, that I've chose a Canadian team to make the final, but if you look at this Winnipeg Jets team, they're just so deep offensively, and defensively they have so many stars, and they're just so good as well. When you look at their goaltending, I mean, he's probably going to win the Vezina, maybe even the Hart. And then when you look at the Panthers, I mean, they just won the Stanley Cup. They still have so many of their core guys, plus they added to that core, so why would they not be in the Stanley Cup final again? But ultimately, to me, this comes down to a goaltending duel between Connor Hellebuyck and Sergei Bobrovsky. And in the end, my Stanley Cup final pick is going to be the Winnipeg Jets to defeat the Florida Panthers in 7 games to be your 2025 Stanley Cup champions. I think that they finally get it done. They've been here too many times with this group of players. And yes, now finally with the emergence of Kyle Connor being a superstar, Josh Morrissey being a #1 defenseman, and Connor Hellebuyck being the definitive best goaltender in the league, I think that this is the season where it finally culminates together for the Winnipeg Jets, and they get it done in 7 games. So that is it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought about my predictions. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let's just have a conversation. Nobody's right or wrong. And let me know in the comments below your guys' predictions for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Peace.